we see opera as really a teamwork. It is such a heavy thing to put on, and if you have really a team, it just helps to make the machine work. I mean, practically, that's already one of the reasons.
Actually, in a certain way, what's wonderful to work with a team over the years is that we all know very fast what we don't want. And it helps to find what eventually is right for a production. One of the first images we always had of Pique Dame is actually the description of Czekaliński Surin of Herman, the main character, that says that he's been at the gambling table all night but didn't play, that was looking obsessively into the game, and at the same time has a face of someone that has murdered 3 people. So that indication is really a starting point of who Herman is.
Because that's the first lines you hear in the opera of soloists. So it's really the starting point, you know, for to tell the story.
Tchaikovsky is Tchaikovsky, and when he writes music, he doesn't cheat. And we think that there is a very close relation between the character of Herman and the personality of Tchaikovsky, especially because he writes that at the end of his life. And I'm sure that he, at the end of his life, must also be obsessed of, have I bet my life on the right cards, or have I put all my life on the wrong cards? And the similarity of someone asking himself if his life was worth it or not worth it, if life is a game where someone wins one day, someone loses one day, that very dark, depressing view on life that the libretto depicts with Herman before he kills himself is actually the core of what Tchaikovsky is trying to do.
I think the violence of the novel of Pushkin is achieved through something extremely dry and analytic, while the violence in Tchaikovsky is in the outpouring of feelings and the extreme expression of the feelings. Well, that's 2 ways to approach a same story, in fact.
You have to match a theatrical situation with the musical expression. In other words, if you are in a, how to say that, an illustrative, decorative setting, and someone is in love and expresses it the way Tchaikovsky expresses it, you go, oh my God, it's much too much, we cannot do that. But if it's the expression of someone who is suffering of the lack of love, who is suffering about the situation, the very strong feelings that Tchaikovsky expresses is just right. So our job as directors is to put the characters in a situation where that music makes sense. The character of Herman is interesting because it's not an intellectual, it's not someone that thinks, it's just someone that feels cheated and try desperately to find a way to get to happiness, and then because of how the story develops, it goes through,
worse and worse.
Through the death of the old countess, to the Lisa's death, and to his own suicide. But what's interesting in the piece is that he's not the only character that bets everything on the wrong card. I mean, Eletsky loses also everything. Lisa loses also everything. So there are a lot of story of people losing their happiness, and of course at the end of the opera, that very strong monologue of Herman that says, well, what is life? It's a game. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. There is not, I haven't seen a much darker expression of nihilism, of Russian nihilism in a certain way than that last monologue of Herman. And I think that it's where Tchaikovsky and Herman really meet. His story is triggered by fake news. His story is triggered by people who are selling him an absolute big lie. That if you go and find that countess, she will tell you the secret of 3 cards that will give you the opportunity to get all the money of the casino in the night.
We know it doesn't exist.
We know it doesn't exist. Herman bites in it because suddenly it is a little light in his dark tunnel. And as I said, I don't think that Herman is particularly an intellectual or someone that has a general view about the perversion of people who are above him in the society, like Letskis and the Tomskis and the other, who find it always very funny to
make fun of him. It was a great encounter, I have to say. Very human. We talked about music, about different things, to know each other. And that was a strong moment. And then we met some months ago or something in Munich to talk more precisely about the project. And I think we could feel that we were on the same track. I hope. We haven't really worked together because, you know, the real thing happens when we are together in a rehearsal room.
We can start with the following point of view. He's a fantastic conductor. Berlin Phil is a very good orchestra. It's a very good orchestra. We had a 2-hour discussion where it was very nice as a first encounter not to talk directly about Pique Dame, but to talk about life. I think that's very important that we be able to share that with someone. And then the most important thing, we know that he will be there during the rehearsals all the time. And that is, in our eyes, a proof of involvement, engagement, and wanting to bring the production to the highest level possible. We're really looking forward of having these 5 weeks of rehearsals with Kirill Petrenko in the hall, so that we can have a continuous, very practical, very clear, very specific discussion, not about a general concept or whatever, but specifically this moment when that door opens, what do we hear? Specifically when that chorus sings that, what are they trying to express? What is this music? Is it drunkenness? Is it happiness? Is it despair? Etc., etc., etc. So to build the emotional structure of the music, I think the conductor is essential in the opera work. And when that happens, there is maybe a chance that we don't have a concert in costumes, but that we have opera. Opera is the story of words, actions, and music making love together. If that doesn't happen, it's like Canada Dry. It looks like alcohol, but it's not. If you come to a hall, if you pay your ticket to be part of an audience and to see live performance, one of the best orchestras in the world, wonderful conductor, and hopefully totally dedicated directors and singers trying to tell a story here in Baden-Baden that evening and nowhere else, that is exceptional, and that is what opera is about and should be. I think that we are all, after that pandemic, we are sick and how to say that, saturated by images on screen. What is real is, I'm driving, I'm coming, I buy a ticket, I'm sitting in a hall, there is an expectation, the house is full, there is a curtain down, before the curtain opens, everything is possible. A conductor enters, people are applauding. This is one of the last rituals that we have in our Western world. One of the last one, where suddenly we all know that we have to clap when the conductor enters and he greets the audience and the orchestra is going to play and we don't know what we're going to see. That is fantastic. I think that's all what a festival is about, and that's all what opera in general is about. It is not to come and to relax in your back seat, to hear live the music that you know already with the story that you know already. No, you come to the opera like you go to the movie. You don't know the story. You don't know how it's going to evolve. The only thing you know is that people have worked for weeks and some people for years at bringing all their expertise together for one evening when you're there and you're watching it. Wow.
More work needs to be done so that younger audiences understand that it can talk to them as much as it does to older people.